Good morning. Welcome to Rising. We've got another great show planned for you today. Briahna, there's some big news, I think, that needs to be shared. Not about us, about... Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right, Robby. It is official. Donald Trump will seek a second presidential term in 2024. Here's a portion of the former president's special announcement from Mar-a-Lago last night.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States. Our country is in a horrible state. We're in grave trouble. This is not a task for a politician or a conventional candidate. This is a task for a great movement that embodies the courage, confidence, and the spirit of the American people.
Election Day 2024 is over 700 days away. However, President Biden has already hint at a potential challenger, sharing this ad as Trump spoke from Florida last night.
Nobody has ever done what we've done in the last 4 years.
Their entire economic plan, tax cuts for the rich and corporations.
And record-breaking unemployment.
The worst jobs report on record.
Trump is the only modern president to leave office with fewer jobs than when he took office.
The Trump administration formally asking the Supreme Court to overturn the Affordable Care Act. This could leave up to 23 million Americans without coverage.
I hope that they end. It'll be so good if they end.
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion, yes or no?
There has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
And if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons.
Trump's announcement comes just a week after Ron DeSantis' red wave landslide in the Sunshine State solidified the Florida governor's status as a serious contender for the GOP's national ticket. New Morning Consult polling finds that after midterms, DeSantis gained 7 points in a hypothetical matchup against Trump among Republicans and GOP-leaning independents. The former president, however, still maintains a comfortable lead over DeSantis, earning 47% of those voters' support to DeSantis' 33%. Here's New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu on the potential primary
he's
showdown.
An announcement tonight. No one's going to be surprised. There'll be no new news. Won't clear the field. He's really making an announcement at one of his weakest political points, right? I mean, we just got crushed in this election. You could make the argument he's never been weaker politically. It's really an announcement from a defensive position, and therefore I think it's going to make a little bit of news, and we're all going to move on.
Well, that sounds like a little bit of wishful thinking.
Yeah, Sununu says no new news, but I'm not sold.
Yeah.
Look, the narrative has been that Donald Trump was a failure with respect to his midterm picks, that the DeSantis doing so well in Florida means that he is the better candidate. But I'm not so sure. I saw some commentators last night saying that Trump seemed off his game, that he seemed boring, that he seemed dull. They seemed almost disappointed that he stuck to the script after so many years of people saying, well, if Trump would just stick to the script, he might have even won in 2020. And it does seem like a little bit of wish casting going on, because Trump made this point in his speech. He said that his success rate was 232 wins, 22 losses in his midterm picks, which is not as good as his 98% plus success rate in the primaries, but also isn't exactly the disaster it's being painted as. Some key picks of his did lose some key races that cost Republicans the Senate, but I don't know how much of this is genuinely a falling off of the Trump phenomenon, or Republicans and establishment Democrats alike really hoping that's the case.
Yeah, that is absolutely a fair point. It is clear the establishment in the GOP, right, the Republican establishment, and also a lot of conservative media, not everyone, but a lot of people, the Murdoch empire, increasingly, you see the New York Post is relentlessly critical of Trump these days. They put the announcement on page 26. They had something else on the cover, and they said, Florida man runs for office, page 26. Very, funny stuff. So they're really united against Trump, but that won't matter. If viewers and base voters still want Trump, they will get Trump.
What do you make of the fact that, he's not on Twitter? I was noticing that it didn't really even seem to trend or make that much of a blip last night. It does feel like some of his power is from being able to harness the media. And if the media actually learned its lesson from 2016 and shuts him out and he's not able to self-publish on Twitter in the way that he used to, do you think that's going to have an effect?
Well, this is going to be interesting. We turn to Elon now. Elon is an increasingly right-of-center figure, has said he would support someone like a DeSantis, but would not support a Trump. He said that. If you're him and you're committed to using Twitter to help elect the candidates you want to elect, I mean, he tweeted before the elections, I'm voting for Republicans. I think it'd be better to have divided government. He's been very clear. He wants Republicans, but not Trump, or maybe then not the very Trumpist Republicans either. And if he's willing to use Twitter for that end, keeping Trump off the platform is a very good idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Because and putting Trump back on the platform would make him more likely, I think, to win a kind of primary, but then also less likely to win a general election.
I mean, one other point.
If he really hates Trump, he would keep him off Twitter for the primaries, and then put him back on. If Trump won the Republican primary and Elon wants him to lose, then he'd let him back on Twitter.
Well, look, I think one other aspect of this is that Trump might not be, now that there has been this shift in the Republican Party, where there are a lot of figures that have frankly outpaced him in terms of leaning in on some of these culture war takes, talking about wokeness, talking about trans kids in schools, talking about the 1619 Project and CRT and those kinds of things. That stuff was noticeably absent from the speech last night. And it's unclear to me at this point whether that's going to inure to his benefit or harm him. Is he someone who is going to actually appear more moderate and do better than some of the more extremist conservative candidates that lost last week?
That's an interesting point. I don't think the mainstream media will ever let anyone get away in respectable circles with portraying Trump as the moderate. I mean, I remember there were some people who said that even before he ran for president, before he was elected president in the first place. I remember a couple, at least, it takes from kind of mainstream or normie liberal people saying, actually, Trump is more moderate than Ted Cruz or something.
Right,
because in some ways he's just he's not temperamentally more moderate.
But we're not in Ted Cruz land anymore. Now we're in Carrie Lake land, and even Ron DeSantis land, where he's been hitting that culture war stuff hard in Florida. What did he say? Florida's where wokeness comes to die, or something like that, after his red wave in the state?
That worked in a state that used to be the consummate swing state, and is now a very conservative state, where he has put together a coalition of people, even some centrist, moderates, independents, Democrats, immigrants, the Hispanic community, coming out for DeSantis in Florida, not necessarily the rest of the country, but there in Florida.
But that's
it's been
the
successful.
thing. The test is whether or not DeSantis can prove his mettle in the rest of the country, where, per the polls we just read, Donald Trump still has much higher popularity. And again, we haven't seen Ron DeSantis speak and kind of engage on a national stage the way that we have Donald Trump. So there's a lot of unknowns there. I see a lot of folks willing to kind of write Donald Trump off right out of the gate, saying that he was low energy. It was a low energy kind of a presentation. Yeah. But I'm interested to see how this actually plays out. Well,
and DeSantis responded. DeSantis kind of hit back gently. Oh, we actually have that clip? I think we were going to play that.
One of the things I've learned in this job is when you're leading, when you're getting things done, you take incoming fire. That's just the nature of it. I roll out of bed in the morning. I've got corporate media outlets that have a spasm, just the fact that I'm getting up in the morning, and it's constantly attacking. And this is just what's happened. I don't think any governor got attacked more, particularly by corporate media, than me over my 4-year term. And yet, I think what you learn is all that's just noise. And really what matters is, are you leading? Are you getting in front of issues? Are you delivering results for people? And are you standing up for folks? And if you do that, then none of that stuff matters. And that's what we've done. We focused on results and leadership. And, at the end of the day, I would just tell people to go check out the scoreboard from last Tuesday night.
So that's DeSantis saying that, pointing out that, well, he's going to maybe that's how he's going to play it. Trump can talk, say what he's not going to directly fight back, because he doesn't want to make people who like Trump angry.
Right.
But I think that's probably going to be the right tone to take.
Yeah, and a lot of people are doing that dance. Don't make Trump angry. Yeah. His own daughter has said that while she respects his right to run, that she won't be participating this time, that she's going to look out for the interests of her family. You saw Mike Pence do that in interview earlier in the week, where it was largely about and critical of the events of 1/6. But when push came to shove and he was asked whether or not he would support Donald Trump run, he says, well, that's up to the American people. So I think a lot of folks are in a wait and see position right now.
Interesting. Well, the best thing Mike Pence and other Republicans who don't want it to be Trump, the best thing for them to do would be to get behind DeSantis. If it's a divided field, that would be the best news for Donald Trump. We could absolutely repeat the 2016 primaries if, every single Republican with aspirations of one day having a television show on Fox News decides to run for president. That would be another very easy way to get Donald Trump again. All right, there were some major developments late yesterday afternoon on Russia's war in Eastern Europe. We will discuss that coming up next.